right, so Brian K. Vaughan, a lot of his comics are done through Image Comics, which like is a lot more. You're allowed to create your own characters and stuff. And this was really the series when I first kind of got into comic books, I was very much like Marvel and DC. And when I was like, you know, I want to read something that's not kind of along these lines of these characters I already know, like everyone in the world told me Saga. So it's basically, it's about these two, I guess aliens is the right word. You know, it takes place on a distant galaxy who are on different factions of these two planets that are at war with each other. And the main character, Marco, he's kind of, he's captured, he's a soldier. And Alana, who's his guard, they kind of fall in love. And they have a baby together. And they're on the run because basically both sides realize that this is a threat. They've kind of... when Alana first gets pregnant, they're surprised because they've been taught since kids that like these two races can't have children together. And like species relations exist like with other planets. Of aliens of different other planets in the book. So it's kind of shown that like pretty much all other aliens do it, but like they've been taught through propaganda specifically to believe that they can't have interspecies relation. Okay. And it's basically because these two planets do not want the war to end. And I talked about in my breakdown kind of about military industrial complex and how you create these forever wars because there are industries that rely on them. Yeah, 100%. And these two people and their baby become a threat because they say if these two races of people realize that peace is on the table, it's all over for us. And I kind of bring like the America with the Middle East. There's definitely like a correlation to that.
Well, we should mention in preparation for this episode, we also watched the 2005 documentary Why We Fight, which deals with this issue of the military-industrial complex and just how, you know, the reasons for like the title suggests, the reasons that we fight the war are oftentimes not what is sold to the public through the media, and that a lot of times these companies have interests in military contracts, and you know, because of that, certain jobs around those contracts and those companies that are supplying these weapons it's tied into, you know, jobs for your demographic.
Exactly.
And it keeps you know the politicians vote for the bills because it produces the jobs and it keeps them in office. Something
like it doesn't matter. My chair keeps falling down, but it doesn't matter. The people who are watching this on YouTube are gonna be like, Greg's like slowly getting smaller,
and the people listening have no idea.
People listening will have no idea what I'm talking about. But they said, I forget which company it was. I think it was Lockheed Martin was saying that. When we have a jet, we make sure that one piece of that jet is produced in each of the 50 states. That at least one piece is produced in each state. So that way, there's no state who's going to vote against giving us, because we're giving jobs to every state.
Oh man, I must have missed that part of the documentary. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So
about the documentary, Why We Fight, this is something we kind of did with Where the Bodies Were Buried, with the Whitey Bulger book, where we watched a documentary. I like this idea of going forward to just do like, whenever we're going to do a comic or a book, we'll suggest like a documentary to go along with it that's kind of like a companion piece.
Yeah, well, like, I mean, to the sort of mission statement, if you will, of our show, it's like in the context of, you know, the effects that or the influences, whatever you want to call it, that how it you know lives amongst the rest of the world.
Yeah. And I feel like with this Why We Fight, about just, look, people are lying to you about the real reasons we go to war. That's happened throughout history. Yeah. And thinking it's not happening now, you're living in a fairy tale.
Yeah, and also, I mean, you know, when you have, like a Trump or someone, specifically Trump now, like talking about, getting rid of the post office, or the, sort of like sowing the seeds of authoritarianism. I mean, there's no other way to say it.
No, there is no other word.
No, I know.
You're
like,
absolutely right.
And it's just like, but people don't think that could happen. But it's like, well, first of all, just look back in history, and there's plenty of examples of it. It's almost like he's playing out of like a playbook. That's just kind of like we've seen all these moves before. And I mean, like Vietnam, the Gulf of Tonkin. Pick an example.
The U.S. military with the Gulf of Tonkin lied about a I believe it was a aircraft carrier. It might have not been. It might have been a smaller ship.
Well, the point is they lied about an attack.
But basically, there was an explosion on board. It was like some technical malfunction, but they said we were attacked when they knew that we weren't. And
it doesn't even. The point is they lied.
The point is that they lied.
The point is it's this idea of just. It's either an outright lie, or like a 9/11 where you're maybe you're not exactly lying, and we could obviously debate that all day. But the point is, even if 9/11 was exactly how it played out, how the narrative tells it of hijackers and Bin Laden and the whole 9 yards, even if that is the case, it still doesn't justify taking actions that are basically bastardizing people's patriotism. And
I agree.
Using something to like you said in your breakdown, ulterior motives.
Ulterior motives. No, exactly right. And George W. Bush, he said that Saddam Hussein or Iraq had some part in 9/11 when he knew that they didn't. And he said, I
don't even know that George Bush didn't know, because George Bush is not the brightest bulb. He could have been. I'm fully convinced that George Bush
was just a complete puppet for Dick Cheney.
I mean, essentially, I'm sure he did certain things, but if a bunch of guys around Bush told him, who's to say Bush was even in on?
No,
they could have been
right.
like, hey, we have intelligence that says. And I could see Bush going along with it. I could also see him being involved in the deception part of it. I could see both ways. Is what I'm saying. It's very clearly the people that are around Bush.
Exactly.
And Donald Rumsfeld and Dick Cheney specifically are kind of the most egregious and Wolfowitz.
Dick Cheney is very open that he had wanted to invade Iraq since the early 90s.
Yeah.
And
that's why it's like taking advantage of the situation. They had this plan in place before 9/11. Literally. It was
No. It's since 91. He had this plan of we're going to set up bases in Iraq. And you talk about how we went to Iraq without an exit strategy, and that's because they were never intending on leaving.
Yeah, they just want to set up
because they create this forever war.